Hi everybody. In today's video tutorial, I'm going to do two different projects using the same napkin focal. Each project uses different techniques, even though they use the same color scheme. So for both of these, I'm using the focal image from this Mice at Work napkin that I got from Ninny's Napkins. You get 4 images. They are in 2 different orientations, so that gives you a little bit more freedom, and the size is just perfect. So on the one project, I'm going to put it on this 6x7 mixed media board, and the second project I'm going to do on a 7x10 art journal page. And again, I promise you different techniques. So on this, I'm using Naples Yellow. This is the Amsterdam brand, and it's lighter than the Liquitex brand. I prefer the Liquitex, but I'm using what I have. Putting a coat of that on the base color. I'm adding a little bit of unbleached titanium just to tone it down and add just another subtle color to the background. Now, this is 6x7. There's not a whole lot of real estate there. So for smaller substrates, I tend to edit. I do less. I may leave out the modeling paste. Now, I chose the background color because there's that yellow, Naples yellow, in the focal image. Now I want to add some of the colors from the napkin into the background. So they have this dark blue. I'm using Prussian blue, and this stencil is called the Tile Mania. I love the glittery star-like pattern that this gives. And you've got that definite contrast with the blue against the yellow. Now in the focal image, there is some of the balls and the present are this color. So again, I'm tying in the focal image to my background. And I do that on both projects. Loving how this is looking. And it just really sets it off. So you can see how that blue just pops out. Then I grabbed the screen view stencil. This is the 6x6 one, and I'm making some red. Now I'm not pressing really hard here. I want a little bit fainter, but again, there's red in that napkin that I want to put into my background. I'm a little hesitant about doing too much here, making the background too busy, but I do want to set off my focal image and tie it all together. So in between, I'm taking that napkin, placing it over top of there just to see what it looks like. I'm kind of auditioning and trying to figure things out as I go. So this is a mixed media board. If you can't get a mixed media board, you can put it on a canvas board, a wood panel that's of similar size, and that's going to work really well. Now I grabbed this stamp it's a Stamperia stamp set, Songs of the Sea. Love it. And I'm introducing some black into the background and another pattern. Now you might be thinking, Karen, you're getting too busy here. And I kind of am. And I do knock this back a little bit. I'm stenciling with that same Tile Mania or Screen View stencil and white. This is pushing back some of those brighter, bolder colors and adding a little bit of white space to my background. As you go through the process, you're going to evaluate constantly and make changes along the way, depending on where you want to go. So now because this is a mixed media board and it has a side, I'm coloring that Prussian blue. I do go back and I paint that black. The blue, I just wanted the black once I got further along in the project. So if you're doing on a canvas or a canvas board, you want to wrap that color all the way around. So I'm liking how that sparkle and shine behind, it looks very Christmassy. I type out the sentiment, oh Christmas tree, and I decide that instead of putting that focal image flat across the bottom, I'm going to put the sentiment there. And I did that so that your eye starts at the top and it goes down. Now I'm taking off the excess ply of napkin, and Each napkin from Ninny's Napkins has two excess plies that you want to take off before you decoupage it down, no matter what kind of project you're doing. Be gentle because some napkins will rip. Some of that glue is a little bit stronger when you're trying to separate it. Now, I don't want the bright red and the dark blue to come through that very thin napkin once I glue it down. So I'm taking some gesso with a makeup sponge here and trying to white out where I'm going to glue the napkin. I don't want those red marks and blue marks to shine through. That's going to distort my focal image, and I want to keep it as close to what it is as it is. So I'm just kind of using this. Now I think I've got that done. So now I'm just going to use a liner brush and a little bit of water, and I'm water cutting the excess part of the napkin off. This gives a deckled edge that disappears more easily. So you're not going to see that straight line of scissors once you glue that napkin down. I like to take off as much of this as possible. If the napkin has a white background, you might get away with leaving a little bit more, but again, the closer you can get to it, the better. And there it goes. Now, I have a bit of a white halo around my focal image. I'm going to show you how to deal with that because I've overpainted, but you could have alternatively left it and make it kind of a lighter halo around your focal image, and that sets off your focal image rather nicely. Two options. You decide which look you like best. So now that I have everything, I am putting a coat of fluid matte medium underneath the napkin and then on top of the napkin. Being very gentle. Once that napkin gets wet, it is fragile and it will tear unless you are extra careful. So now I'm just gluing my sentiment down. Now this mixed media board I can display on a plate rack, or I could just lean against something in the house, or I could put a magnet on it and use it as a fridge magnet. So I decided I didn't want that halo, so I'm just taking my brush, a little bit of that Naples yellow and gesso, and just repainting that area. Really super simple to solve that problem. But I preserved the integrity and the colors of my focal image, and now I'm just going in and touching up. And then if there's any areas like right by the top of the tree there where I just had napkin, I'm painting it the color of the background as well. Now I'm going to do overpainting. And when I say overpainting, I'm using some thinned acrylic paint in multiple colors of green for the tree. I'm using a liner brush. I've got greens, I've got yellows, I've got a little bit of Prussian blue, a little bit of brown, and I'm just painting the evergreen tree. Little bits and little bits here. It's a little hard to see what I'm doing, but if you look at the napkin, the raw napkin, and the one I've overpainted, you'll see that there are differences. I'm making the colors bolder and brighter. And I just keep going in, adding different colors on my liner brush. Here, I think I have the Naples yellow on. Then I grab some brown, some Prussian blue, two different shades of green. Now, the trunk of my tree seems to have gotten lost, so I am extending it just using some brown acrylic paint. Painting back the mouse's tail, and then I'm going to continue to overpaint all the items on my focal image. I do thin my acrylic paint. Sometimes I mix it with gesso. So then I'm painting the mouse with just a wash, more of a wash of brown and peach, just tweaking the colors a little bit. Now, if you're afraid of doing that or you don't think you have the skill, you can leave parts of the focal image alone, like leave the mouse alone, but just do the tree and the balls. They all those ways look good in the end. So here I'm just brightening the red of the scarf on the present and on the Christmas balls. Now the overpainting process here, the cutting out the napkin with the water cutting are the same for both projects. So a lot of the steps are the same. What's basically going to be different is the background and how we achieve the background using different stencils, different stamps. So here you see I end up actually adding Christmas balls to the tree that aren't there. So you're taking what the artist of the napkin has given you and you're changing it to fit your purpose. Dotting the I's with my Secura glaze pen, and now that everything's dry, I'm just outlining my sentiment to make it stand out. I should have said here, oh, Chris Mouse tree. I missed the boat on that one. Just add the toppers. And then I decide to put a sketchy line around it. It just seemed like it needed something else here. A splatter with green. I wanted to introduce just a little bit of green color to the background. And I believe I splattered it with gold as well. Just to have a little bit of Christmas bling happening. And I grab my fine line applicator bottle and I'm putting some dots, Christmas lights on the tree. I just wanted a little more bling, I guess. Sometimes I don't know when to stop. Finished project 1. 5x6 or 6x7 mixed media board. Now this is 7x10 and there's a little bit more real estate here. So we're going to use some different techniques. We're going to add texture because we're actually going to see it. The focal image doesn't take up 3/4 of the background. So again, I peel off the excess layers and I've sped up this part of the video because you don't need to really see it twice, but I do want to show you that I am doing it. And then I'm using the liner brush to water cut off the excess napkin. And I'm going fairly close here. And I actually cut off the mouse's ear, but I'll show you how to fix that. This stencil is called Fantangle, and I like it because I thought it would look good with the Christmas tree theme. It kind of looks like Christmas tree to me, and I thought that would make an interesting texture for it. I'm using Crafter's Workshop modeling paste, putting it on a key card, and I'm going to put this in 3 places on my background. Odd numbers always look better on your background. Now, this is a non-gessoed page. So I'm putting it in 3 places, and it's a little hard because the modeling paste is white, and so is the page. So you really can't see it, but trust me, I'm putting on the texture, and we're going to bring that texture out later on. Now I'm scraping off I got some straight lines there. You can pull off some of that modeling paste after you put it on if it goes in where you don't want it or you end up not liking it. Don't be afraid to pull it off. Now, instead of coloring the background first and then gluing on the focal image, this time I'm gluing the focal image down first, and then I'm going to put the background color on. Just to show you, you can do it both ways. So if you don't want to deal with whiting out the background, this is the way you can do it. Glue this down first and then paint the background. Again, I'm gluing this down with my fluid matte medium from Liquitex. And there's the ear. I just push it back in place. No one's the wiser that it was cut off, except, well, everybody that's watching the video. So I'm just drawing that. Now I have this tissue paper that I did some stamping with black acrylic paint in a stash builder video. And I'm just ripping them off and placing them around, and then I'm just going to glue them down. The tissue paper goes completely translucent. You don't see it. All you end up seeing is the marks. This allows you to put it where you want it. And if it doesn't work out, you can take it off. While this one's on tissue paper, I prefer doing the same thing on the excess plies of napkin. I just find they go more, they fade into the background better. You get more translucency, less bulk. But use what you have. I just wanted some random marks on my background. That was what I was going with. Now I'm colorizing it, and I am using unbleached titanium here. I just want a neutral base color. So I'm using unbleached titanium with a little bit of white gesso. And I'm just applying it with a makeup sponge, using a brush if I want to get closer to that Christmas tree and I don't trust myself. But I know I'm going to overpaint it. So if I smudge something on it, doesn't matter. Now here I'm bringing out the texture. I have Prussian blue paint on my makeup sponge, and I'm ever so lightly wiping it across the modeling paste. And look at it bring out that texture. Now, I chose to use the Prussian blue because there's blue on there, and I really liked the combination of the red, blue, and yellow that I had on the other one, but I wanted it to look different. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking this really does look like the evergreen boughs of the tree. And because I've surrounded the mice here, I'm thinking it looks like the mice are building their tree inside my Christmas tree. So here I wanted it a little more green, so I put some Hooker's green on my makeup sponge and I'm going over and I'm getting a blue-green color there. And I'm loving how this is surrounding it. So I'm just building up the color till I get it to where I really like it. Now I wanted to brighten this up, so I grabbed the Naples yellow, the Liquitex one that's a little brighter and darker, not the Amsterdam one. And I'm stenciling this on. This is adding that lightness to it. It's brightening up the page. It's giving me a little extra pattern. It looks like maybe the bulbs are shining. I'm really liking that. So I go to town with this. I just keep adding more of that yellow on there. And I'm not worried about going over top of the stenciling, the modeling paste, adding that color. It all has to work together. So don't, even if I get some over top of the focal image, I'm not worried about that. You want everything to work together. So I'm quite happy. So I'm starting the overpainting process. And no, I do not show you all of that because I showed it a little bit more depth in the first project. Basically, I'm doing it the same way. I've got a mixture of colors, using my liner brush, and just painting in those evergreen boughs here and there. Then I grab this number stamp and I start stamping with archival ink. And I have to, I'm not loving it, but I keep going. Then I grab a water drop stamp and I stamp some more. And oh no, I thinking, oh, that was a mistake. So I fixed the mistake. I grab some white gesso, some Naples yellow, and I take it back. I knock all that stamping back so I don't really see it, and I'm starting over with my background. It happens. Sometimes you make a decision, you make a wrong turn, and you got to backpedal, but you can always fix things. Then I like that Naples yellow with the knitted things, knitted stitch stencil, and I'm just adding that back. So it cost me a little time. You don't try something you don't know. It's not as nice as it was before, but I'm okay with it. Now I don't know what to do next. And so I'm going to shade around or edge my page with black acrylic paint and my angle brush. This is framing the picture, and it allows me to look at it as a picture and say, am I done? Have I done enough? And that brings it into focus. And then I continue with the overpainting, painting the stool and the balls and the mice. And I'm just matching the colors as closely as I can with what I have. And once again, I paint more Christmas balls on the tree because I want to introduce more color onto that tree. And painting a circle is pretty easy, well within my drawing skill ability. I'm looking at the background, I'm thinking something's missing, I don't know what, but I keep doing what I know to do. I'm focusing on what I know I should do or the easy decisions and hoping. I also gave them a platform. It's like that tree is sitting on a rug now, or maybe it's a Christmas ball on my tree. And then I grab my stylus and I decide to put 3 drops in berries on the evergreen, what I'm calling evergreen boughs, and introducing the red to that textured stenciling that I added just made things work so much better. So painstakingly, I just keep adding that to all of them. Introducing that red was really necessary. It gave some contrast. It added color to it. It just, in my mind, tied everything together. If I needed to, I could have stopped, waited a day or two, and then come back. Sometimes you don't have the answer in that first creative session. Give yourself time. Then I cut out the sentiment, believe in the magic of Christmas. I bubble cut the script part, leaving a white around it, and then just cut a rectangle shape for the bottom part. I like mixing fonts. I think that really looks good on an art journal page. Then I grab my glossy accent and all the ornaments on there. I am putting some glossy accents on. Now, the glossy accents, you're not supposed to shake it because you don't want air bubbles, and you're not supposed to use a heat tool to dry it. So once this is on, I let it dry completely before I continue on. It goes on kind of cloudy, but it dries perfectly clear and really gives a beautiful, beautiful shine, in addition to an art journal page or a card or mixed media piece. Wipe off the tip before you close it, and that way you'll be able to use it the next time. I'm splattering this with gold all over because, again, I want my Christmas bling. Then I still needed something in the background, so I grabbed my script stamp, and it's a very fine, small bit of black in there. And I think that really, it just added that one thing that was missing. It was just looking a little too stark. When in doubt, use a script stamp. I'm peeling off the tape here that keeps the gunk out of the coiled areas. And there we have project number 2 finished. So which is your favorite? The mixed media board, project 1, or the art journal page, project 2? Be sure to let me know in the comment section below. I hope you give some or most of these techniques a try. Have fun, enjoy the process. Now go get creative.